another nickel, not another dime. No more money for Israel's crimes.
Yeah, they burned him and they tortured him and they killed him and they put him in the park.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Maine to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org. We've been covering the story of the sniper killings in Gaza, over 30 people now since the 30th of March, and the protests in the United States. One question that comes up is, who is making the guns that is killing the Palestinians? Now, we record in Connecticut, and Connecticut is a very big gun-making state. After a little web research, we dug up some facts about the Sturm Ruger and Company, which is based in Fairfield, Connecticut. It's the biggest gun seller in the United States. A number of gun enthusiast websites talked about the Ruger 1022 sniper rifle and how the Israelis were using it. Are they using it against the Palestinians in Gaza? Well, you recall the Israelis shot dead Ibrahim Abu Tharaya last December, a man with no legs. So I wrote to Chris Killoy, the CEO of Sturm Ruger, and asked him if a Ruger rifle had been used to kill him, and if Ruger had investigated. I didn't get an answer. After the Land Day massacre on March 30th, I again wrote to Killoy, this time via the web and by a printed letter. No answer. A couple days ago, I again wrote to Killoy via the web, urged him to stop selling weapons to Israel, if that was the case, and pointed out that Ruger may incur legal liability for supplying these weapons to a known serial human rights violator. No answer. Then just today, I noticed a gun fan site called Israeli Special Forces, and on its homepage was a photo. It said it got from the Israeli army, showing a sniper soldier deployed in the territories with a suppressed Ruger 1022. The date of the picture was February 3rd, 2018. To see the letters to Killoy, go to thestruggle.org, and you might want to write a letter of your own to him. And by the way, today, Friday, April 13th, the Israelis killed one person, injured 500 in Gaza, people taking part in the Great Return March. We start with a demonstration for Palestine in front of Congressman John Larson's office in Hartford, Connecticut.
We're here to try to reach Congressman Larson on this issue. We're here to protest last Friday's massacre, but we're getting news that the number dead today may be the same. One report is that 19 died today, which is horrendous. I mean, last week was bad enough. They, according to Haaretz, which is an Israeli paper, 900 people were shot. Unbelievable. 900 people, and they weren't doing anything violent. There was no threat. No Israeli got hurt. And 900 people got shot. Over 700 with live ammunition. And now another day, we don't know how many will be killed by the end of the day or injured.
Hello, Mr. Larson. I feel it's my responsibility to let you know that I woke up in the morning today on a Friday, whereas it's a holy day for the Muslim people when they have to enjoy their holiday in their mosques. And I saw the news on the TV that was 3 Palestinians from Gaza got killed and 250 got injured today on Friday on a holy day for the Muslim people. Why are they supposed to be enjoying their holiday just like the Jewish people? They enjoy their day on Saturday in their synagogue, and the Christian people, they enjoy their Sunday in their church on Sunday. So before we come here, unfortunately the number has been raised to 19 Palestinians got killed, and I don't know how many got injured. We can't count anymore. Unfortunately, all that happening under the Americans' name. I don't understand why that happening and why we are in a country who support democracy, while in the same time we support the occupation. I don't understand this. Thank you very much.
Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes.
Now, from a Peace Action Manhattan meeting, Ahed Festuk speaks. She was one of the first young Syrian activists to go out into the streets in protests in 2011 in Aleppo.
First, we're going to start with a look at the Syrian revolution from a micro perspective by speaking with Ahed Festuk, who was an activist in Aleppo on the ground. And when the demonstrations for the revolution first started, she was there and she stayed in Aleppo until November of 2015. So Ahed was one of the pioneer Syrian women of the revolution, and when the revolution broke out, the Arab Spring in Syria, she stayed on as a paramedic on the front lines. She was part of the ancillary staff of Aleppo's local opposition government. She was contracted as a quote-unquote hostile environment and first aid trainer by the Institute for War and Peace Reporting. She then came here to the United States at the end of 2015 and speaks on peace and democracy for Syria at places such as the United Nations and even the State Department. So I want to start with you, Ahed, because of all of the experiences that we have here. You actually lived through the Civil War. The revolution. Thank you for correcting me. So before going into that, tell us a little bit, very briefly, because we have 15 minutes, what was Syria like before the revolution?
Well, before the revolution, it seems to be normal, but it's not. I mean, the dictatorship has terrorizing our country for more than 4 years after the death. By the way, his son came and he started terrorizing actually us. And actually, when I was a little, I used to see like 3 pictures of Bashar and Hafiz and Basil, and it never allowed me to ask who are they or why they are. Their picture everywhere. It's really everywhere. Like you can go to bank or to hospital, to school, even in our books. Their picture in our books. we grow up with that sentence, walls have ears, so we're not allowed to speak up even inside our house. And yeah, this is like that revolution was really necessary to be.
So you've explained a little bit about the state surveillance and the oppression under the Assad regime. How were relations between people of different religions, say Sunnis and Christians and Alawis?
So I don't know, you can say it's normal, but it's not, because each one of us, they live in their bubble. So the Christian community have their own neighborhoods, and Muslims that have the same. I mean, Syrian people are really amazing. They can adapt in every situation. But when the Syrian revolution started, we started to see that wasn't really that idea. We think we are really one. Like we say Syrian, the all Syrian is one, but it wasn't like that.
So each religion had, in general, a different layer of privilege?
Actually, the regime who built that wall between each religion and each community. So it's really complicated.
So primarily to the Alawis, and then Christian as a minority, and the Sunni people being most marginalized, is that correct?
Yeah, and yeah, we have Armenian, and we have really very big community, and I don't know how diversity yeah, it's really we have big diversity.
So how did you feel in 2010? The Arab Spring started in Tunisia, and then it spread to Libya and Bahrain, Egypt. What were you thinking?
When actually I wasn't really aware when it started in Libya and in Tunisia, but when it started in Egypt, I was watching the TV and crying. I wasn't imagining that gonna be in Syria one day. Actually, I was saying, oh my God, how are they lucky? I wish we have that power to do what they've done. And it was like a dream for me. I couldn't imagine. I watched that when they were in Tahrir Square. I was watching that and I never imagined that it's gonna be in Syria in one day.
And 4 months later, March 2011, what happened in Syria?
After what happened in Daraa, in Aleppo, it wasn't anything.
Well, tell what happened in Daraa.
So in Daraa, when children write something against the government on the walls, and the government arrests the children, and when their family went to the police office to ask for their children, so the government tells them, forget your child and go get other child, and if you can't do that, send your wives and we can make a new child for you. So, and this is how it started in Daraa. In Aleppo at that time, it wasn't anything. But after a few weeks, we started to think how we can help, and a few people on the Facebook, we start, even we don't know each other. Actually, many people I haven't met until the first demonstration that we set up. So we started to think what we should do, how we can do something. First time, it was actually other demonstration, but I haven't seen it, and I haven't been there, but I've been in one demonstration that was in Aleppo University, and we were only like, I guess 20 people, and when we start to say free Syria, and the police start to come from everywhere, and yeah, that was my first experience.
So in the city of Aleppo, how many million people?
Like about 6 million?
6 million. University of Aleppo, about 20 people in the demonstration. And
This was like first one, and it wasn't organized really well.
but you were one of them.
I mean,
You're a brave woman. It was dangerous though, wasn't it?
I mean, when you think about your purpose, you're not gonna think that dangerous or safe. You just do it. And yeah, this is what happened.
And what would you say, Ahed, were the largest things that drove you? Like a commitment to freedom and democracy, or in your words?
Yeah, actually, of course, because I felt like this is really human basic right. We don't have it. Like anything you can imagine, we don't have it. Even like smart people, they can't handle it. Like a lot of smart Syrians, they just leave that country. A lot of people, they graduated and they leave Syria forever. This country used to be only for people who don't want to speak, who just want to eat and sleep and work, and that's it. You haven't no right to dream. It's just a crazy life.
So talk a little bit about the revolution. It was peaceful, roses and bottles of water. How did it turn violent?
A few groups of us, after we lost a lot of friends, some of them has been killed and some of them were in prison, and actually even 3 doctors, one of them actually, he was my best friend, and when I got shot, he helped me. So the regime arrested them, and after a few days, we saw them in the park. They've been torturing and what's that?
It started on fire, burned.
Burned. Yeah, they burned him and they tortured him and they killed him and they put him in the park. They put them in the park. So 3 medical doctor, like medical student doctor, and yeah. And this is just one example. We lost really amazing people during that time. And a few of us decided to protect our demonstrations, and they hold actually gun to protect our peaceful demonstration from the regime. And when actually we did that, the regime immediately started to destroy our country, and he started to spread that propaganda, I'm fighting terrorism, or I have a terrorist. At that time, we really pretty much Syrian, and we all like Syrian and students. We don't have anyone from outside Syria. And actually, after a while, he released a lot of people from Sednaya prison, which most of them are leaders for ISIS right now. So yeah, when he started destroying our country, it wasn't actually ISIS.
So how do you feel when, for example, Florindo was very gracious in stating that the last forum that Peace Action had, there was a delegation that went and visited with the Assad regime, and they came back, and some people were saying that it's either ISIS, Islamic extremists, or Assad regime,
Assad,
this binary. How do you feel when you are lumped into the Islamic extremist category?
I remember those people, actually I was here and I'm sorry, but yeah, I couldn't handle it, what they said. They said it's peaceful and we love to be there and we had a good trip, and actually in Syria we didn't see anything that was destroyed. The regime actually took them for a trip. I don't know, maybe for Latakia or I don't know for where, to where they go. But yeah, they haven't been in Rebel held area, so they haven't seen anything. So I'm sorry, I didn't agree with their perspective, but it wasn't true.
This TV program is a project of the Middle East Crisis Committee. On April 12th, MEC passed a resolution in support of Syrians opposed to more war, but with practical ideas to help Syrians against the continued Assad onslaught. To see the details, go to our website, thestruggle.org. A change of pace from February, a conference by 350 Connecticut, a talk about a myth, the supposed grave danger of world population increase, a logic that's being used against immigrants. The speaker is Ann L. Hendrixson, the Director of Population and Development Programs at Hampshire College.
Envisioning a livable world and a livable future is really a radical act, and particularly hard to do when we're faced with climate fears and Trumpian politics. We need our political imaginations and trust in collective action to foresee peaceful, green realities. We also need to move away from doomsday thinking and environmentalism that weaponizes people as population bombs. People in populations are not automatically unhealthy for the planet. People are part of nature and not always in opposition. Communal stewardship of the environmental commons is a really good example of how people collectively have nurtured nature. People have been managing common resources cooperatively for centuries and are able to negotiate successfully the tensions between private gain and the public and environmental good. Such cooperation does not always occur, but when it does, it's exciting and laudable. Political economist Elinor Ostrom documented many cases where individuals create stable institutions of self-government that make and enforce rules that defend natural resources and provide mutual protection against risk. However, many of us learned about the commons through biologist Garrett Hardin, who published his essay, The Tragedy of the Commons, in 1968. And from that essay, learned that the commons are associated with environmental ruin supposedly brought about by overpopulation and overuse. Is this familiar to anyone here? Yeah. It is one of the most read environmental essays and still is. It advocates for the twin solutions of population control and private property. And Hardin later revised his position, noting that what he described was more accurately the tragedy of the unmanaged commons. However, his 1968 essay remains one of the building blocks of the environmental thinking. Population is important. It's an important factor in sustainable development. We need nuanced and deep understandings of population trends in order to create policies that work, that support people and the environment. But a nuanced understanding of population is different than populationism. The term populationism describes ideologies that attribute social and ecological ills to human numbers, like Hardin's essay. Populationism assumes that the number of people is our first and most pressing problem. Population immigration, population reduction arguments have taken a xenophobic twist. A TV ad from the nativist U.S. group Californians for Population Stabilization, or CAPS, asks, If Californians are having fewer children, why is it so crowded? The answer is immigrants. The ad calls for fewer immigrants to preserve California's way of life, water, and the environment. This CAPS ad wrongfully blames immigrants for California's problems. Again, the real culprit is not human numbers, but environmentally harmful systems of production and consumption, as well as unequal distribution of power and resources. However, this targeting of immigrants as leading environmental menaces is an issue for some environmentalists, is a primary issue. This dangerous reasoning is used in the greening of hate, the scapegoating of immigrants for environmental degradation. These too many arguments are not about Melania Trump or her chain migrating parents. They reveal anxieties about the shifting racial and ethnic composition of the US population as the white population ages next to a growing brown and black youth population. These poisonous fears are contributing to an overt nativism and white supremacy in the US. Too many arguments support Trump's promised border wall and support ending DACA. And of course, they're international as well. They're mobilized in arguments for walling off Europe from so-called climate refugees. This is yet another reason to reject populationism in our work. Part of diffusing the population bomb is unpacking the damaging racialized stereotypes and anxieties that make it so explosive. Diffusing the population bomb and refusing doomsday environmentalism opens borderless spaces for valuing people and visioning peaceful and green futures. At PopDev, which is short for the Population Development Program at Hampshire College, we offer a number of free publications by activists and scholars that take apart populationist thinking, including the greening of hate, historical and contemporary population control abuses, and climate securitization, among others. And I brought some of our different takes. You're welcome to help yourself to those. But the best way to find us is online, and all of our publications are available for free download. And also on Facebook at PopDev Program. So please check us out to learn more. And on that invitation, I'll end, and I really look forward to talking with you. Thank you.
That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.